this little slideshow to our calendar, and welcome. Today's February 25th, 2021. This is, I'm somewhat embarrassed to admit, but just a few things have been happening during this COVID year. Our first meeting since the Christmas holidays, but I'm glad we're getting together, and hopefully, every 2 or 3 weeks we can do a few more of these before the end of the year, because actually Google had a huge event on Wednesday, which I'll share just a tiny bit about. Lots and lots of really good updates, really listening to teachers. And I mean, the number of users of Google Education, which they're changing it now to Workplace, something like 40 million to 150 million in 1 year worldwide. I don't know what other company could do that and not crater, So anyway, today's plan is to share with you the Teacher Center, which we're going to go over a number of features and things, but they have invested and continue to invest some really good resources in making it teacher specific. So it's not just, hey, here's Google Forms for business, but here it is for teachers, videos by teachers. It's specific to the classroom. I'm going to mention some Google updates and then share a video. It's about 1.5 hours long, and I've been watching it at lunch, and so I'm almost through. I have like 20 minutes left. But there's a nice post that a guy I have linked here has a summary. But the main thing is, and we can sign up for this little beta that they're doing, but the main thing is, here's how we can do quizzes in Google Classroom that, if you want to, can grade themselves, and you could have some elements that aren't self-grading. But that is really powerful. And then just also Google Forms, and then having it into a spreadsheet. I really enjoy being able to do that, but Google has created some nice visualizations of the data when you do a quiz in Classroom, or when you are just staying inside Forms. You used to only be able to see it in spreadsheet. It just shot it into a spreadsheet. That was it. But they've done some nice things. So we're going to that's our plan, and we'll do some Q&A. I'm starting to use this slide. I had a chance a couple days ago to talk to the middle division science department. This is really more number 1 than number 2, but please follow up with me on any of this, and we can work through this, especially one-on-one. I mean, it's hard to eke out just this time for us to get together to talk about this stuff. Even harder if it's not summertime to do something that's a full-on workshop. So a lot of what we're going to do today is the awareness. Hey, I didn't know I could do that. But also pointing you to some really good places to learn more about it. But if you want to, as I'm going along, I welcome you to open up, Classroom, open up Google Forms, because I'm going to, in the demo part, do the same thing. I don't have slides for those. I'm just going to be opening it up and working through it, and we'll do some examples. So first thing is what they call the Teacher Center, Google for Education's Teacher Center. At the top here, they've got a series of training courses, but you can click here on product guides, and that's what I've done here. And so this is the product guide for Forms. They also have, for their certifications, information about those different programs and things. And for that level 1 certification, it's really being familiar with the core tools of docs, presentation, a little bit of spreadsheet. There was a spreadsheet formula question. Forms is important, and then Gmail. Those as I recall from taking that in August or whatever. And I think I'm going to probably go ahead and do the level 2 exam. They're asking you a challenge question, like, you've received, you need to send a message to your class, and you're in a Google environment where there's a address book, and there's some documents that are already there, and please attach this within mail. It's not just asking you a question of like, how many different question types are there in a Google form? That's not what they ask you to do. They ask you to do things with the tools. So here in the product center or whatever, they've got a whole series of videos. I'm not gonna play these exhaustively, but here's just a little 3-minute one that talks about, first off, the 3 different ways that you can open up Google Forms.
My name is Eric Lawson. I'm the Director of Technology and Libraries for the York School Department in York, Maine. I'm here to show you today how to find Google Forms. There are actually 3 ways to find Google Forms. One of the first ways is if you're in any of the other G Suite for EDU apps, like I'm in Gmail right now. You can click on the waffles and then just scroll down until you find Forms, which is this purple icon here. And this brings you to the Forms page. Similarly, I could just open up a new tab and type in forms.google.com. And if I do that, I also get to the Forms page, which also brings up my template gallery here at the top that I can choose from. And here I can choose general template gallery, which is the public, or one for my school, which we set up. The last way is through Google Drive. If I'm in Drive and I create, or I click on New and go down to More, this is where, after hovering for a second or two, Google Forms appears as option. And if I hover over the arrow, this is where I can either start right away with a blank one or go to the templates. So that is the 3 ways that you can get to Google Forms. And now I'm sure you're excited to play around with Google Forms yourself and get started.
All right. How much experience have you all had with Forms in terms of using them? Are you doing some, a lot, some? Okay. Simon, how about you? Have you used Google Forms yet? You have?
Yes, I have.
Okay. No, I wanted to know both. So a little bit. And Simon, have you done it inside classroom yet, or just kind of outside classroom?
I've always done it outside classroom. Like I'll create it outside of Google Classroom, and then I'll attach it later.
Okay, cool. And have you done it where you actually set it up as a quiz, or more just as a plain form?
I've done it more as like a survey. I've also done it as like a quiz, or like a quiz. But the truth of the matter is, the quiz was already pre-made, so I didn't really do the quiz. But I found it to be very useful because it was interactive and it was easy for the kids. Yeah. Okay. It can be a little tricky not having done it the more you do it, the more familiar it becomes. But the importing the grades. But that's the demo that I'm going to do first. This is just a screenshot of kind of how they have the introduction set up. Accessing, creating a form, sharing a form, viewing the responses as a summary and individually. And then you can also go over to the spreadsheet. Below that, they have really nice videos, again, by teachers that are tips and tricks. And so this one, using Google Forms for quizzes, again, is about 3 minutes. And I don't think I'm going to play it, but I have it embedded in here. And I really like, Google does a nice job of chunking their content. That's a really good phrase, because we're designing more for online, blended, remote, face-to-face. There's all kinds of situations we're doing with our kids. Even with face-to-face, we want to chunk our content. And I think they model that well. Now, this is not a very, this is a long video. This is the February 17th video from Google. It's called Learning with Google, and they did it in a bunch of different languages. It's now archived, so you can see the entire thing. Eric Kurtz, who is a teacher who I actually have met in person and went to his workshop at their state conference a few years ago. He is phenomenal. He has a website called Control Alt Achieve, and he wrote a post Monday, 50 plus new Google for Education features. Lots and lots, and this is from that event last week. Lots of really good things coming, to include some things about forms. So I'm going to just play about 2 minutes of this 1 hour and 39-minute video. One thing I thought that I would show, and I don't know if you all are doing this, but you can now play a clip right inside the Google presentation without using a separate tool. The screenshot on the left is this website, YouTube Time, and I've used this before. And if you want to email parents or students or whoever a link, but you want to start playing it at 5 minutes in or whatever, you just put in the number of minutes and seconds, and then it will it actually appends it to the end of the address, and so that video will just begin. But I made a screenshot of my settings here, and so when you put a video in a slideshow and you click on it, there are now format options. And so I chose start at 51 minutes, 50 seconds, play automatically
and stop right at 52 minutes and 38 seconds. That's all I want to do. Well, this is inside the video. So if you're going to send it with email, it will just start at the place that you have. There are some other tools that will let you actually, there was one that was Flash-based that was called YouTube Chop. That one is no longer working. I've used some others. Yeah, right. I think so, because Edpuzzle will let you do that too, and well, and it'll ask you questions and stuff like that. But yeah, it's where you can have longer videos, but you're gonna be able to chunk them up. So anyway, I'm modeling that here because when I click on the next slide, it's going to immediately play. It's going to start at 51:50, and it's only going to play, you know, less than 2 minutes or whatever. To just this was the part of the presentation about forms.
To administer quizzes, measure student success, and more. And one of the most requested features is the ability to save your progress when filling out a form. That's why we're happy to announce that when responding to a Google form, quiz, or quiz assignment in classroom, your progress will be automatically saved as a draft for 30 days or until the form is completed. This means you won't have to start over if you can't complete a form or quiz in one sitting, if you want to switch between multiple devices, or if your internet connection cuts out before your answers have been submitted. We'll be testing this feature soon and expect to roll it out to everyone in the coming months. You can sign up to be included in this pilot today by visiting this link. All
right, and boom, it stops. So just played that little quiz. So that's a little bonus little in Google Slides. Yep, and I've been doing, well, I've just kind of transitioned all my presentations into slides for whatever I do. And I just, now that the internet is much more reliable, it sometimes doesn't, you know, come through, but with more reliable internet, I used to do things in Keynote and I could download the videos and it didn't matter if the internet was on or off or I couldn't get access. But yeah, that's a feature that I hadn't actually realized before. So I have this linked in the slideshow. I did sign up. In this long presentation, they talk about a lot of updates, and some of them like that are coming in a couple months. But this is one that you can go ahead and sign up for. And so it sounds like in a couple months, it'll be available. And that's an example, and believe me, Google is not paying me to say any of these positive things about them. And I do sense a seismic shift in Google in some different things. I mean, like I said, they went from 40 million to 150 million in a year users of their education product. They now have 2 different paid tiers, actually 3 different kinds of licenses. Everyone can still get the free stuff that you could get before, but there are a lot of features that they've added. And in general, I think it's good because, look, and I don't think Google's going to go out of business, but in general, there are things that are worth paying for. And if it's really good, it's worth paying for. And so I'm happy that they are I'm not happy just that they're charging, but I'm happy that they're innovating and doing so many really helpful things. And our school has paid for teachers to have those features. And I cannot speak for the school in terms of the financial decisions they're going to make, but I think that we're probably going to continue that same commitment. And for like writing the assignment feature, or what's it called? There's the tool that checks for plagiarism, that's built right in, and you can do it unlimited. I mean, there's some really powerful things that they're building in. Okay, so I didn't mean to actually leave my presentation. Let's do demo number 1. This is going to be a Google Classroom quiz. Now, you can create your quiz outside of Classroom, or you can just create it right inside. Either way, but if you create it outside, you do have to choose the setting to make it a quiz, and that's just one of the settings. So I'm going to play this video, which again is about 3 minutes, and this is going to talk about some of those steps, and then I'm going to just exit my presentation and practice. And if you want to just watch, you can, but if you want to follow.
And I know you and I have different philosophies on organizing your Google Drive.
I think you may have a unique perspective in the world of Google, but yes. Okay, I'm glad to hear that.
Healthy organization. you want to make it outside so that then you can tell it where in Google Drive you want it to live.
I agree. Yeah.
If you do it in there,
Yeah.
it drops it.
No,
in
I agree with you. I agree with you because then you can, nest it in the folder you want, find it for later. I agree. All right, 3 minutes here.
Google Forms is a great tool for surveys and data collection. Let's take a look at creating a quiz to monitor student learning and provide feedback on their progress. On the home screen of Google Forms, let's start by creating a blank quiz. Let's create our first multiple choice question. We want to make sure that it is required by turning it on. Then we'll click on the 3 dots and there's an option here to shuffle option order. This means every time the student goes to the form, it will shuffle the option order of the question. Since our quiz feature is turned on, we'll see the option to select the answer key in the lower left corner here. If you don't see it, go to the settings menu by clicking on the cogwheel next to the send button. You'll see 3 options at the top. On this page, we want to make sure that we restrict users to only our organization. If you only want students to take the quiz once, you can click Limit to 1 response. To turn on the quiz feature, we'll go to the far right where it says Quizzes. We'll then turn the slider to make this a quiz. Now we have the options to release the grade immediately, which is my favorite because it gives the student the immediate feedback kids need. We also have the options to allow students to see missed answers, the correct answers, and points value. I recommend you uncheck these depending on your situation. Then we'll click the Save button. Now let's click on the answer key and designate a point value for this particular question. We also need to select the correct answer. We'll see that it now has a check mark next to the correct answer. Then click Done. Continue creating the rest of your questions. Make sure they are set as required, that you set the point value and correct answers. You can see in the upper right-hand corner here the number of total points available on the quiz. And we're done. It takes a moment to set up a quiz, but once it's done, you can reuse it over and over. I recommend you taking the quiz yourself so you know that it works properly. Just click on the preview button to bring up the live version, select your answers, and click Submit. The student will then be able to immediately view their score. If you'd like to know more about the feedback options that you see here or additional best practice for quizzes using Google Forms, click on the next video on this screen. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did,
Yes, sir.
So, I'm sorry, I'll let him finish.
No, it's okay. He was just going to say, subscribe to me, click the bell, come back. I'm doing more videos. That's the rest.
One of them is, so ask a question. If you make it a quiz, you don't have to tell it to collect the recipient's email addresses because it will already connect it, I assume, to Google Classroom.
Yes. At the time that you say to make it a quiz and you put in Google Classroom, it does that stuff. So it will collect their emails and all that.
The thing that I'll add that the presenter did not is when you make these forms or quizzes, you can have multiple pages. And if you want to test it out and you go to the live feature and you have made every quiz a required question, it will not let you advance to the next page because it is looking for you to fill in responses.
Right.
So that is something that just as someone who had to do a lot of reviewing of a multi-page form,
Right.
You might find yourself in a position where you have to take it
Okay.
as a student because you have questions on another page, but it's not letting you advance.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it'll also, so it randomizes responses. It can randomize questions for you too.
I think that's true. Yeah. That's an option. What he showed was the answer.
They're all A's, right?
Hmm.
But mine might be all A's, yours might be A, B, C, D, right? It'll randomize the answer choices, but you can also randomize the question order. So my question 1 might be your question 5. Yes.
All right. So I have actually invited the 3 of you to a test class that I set up in Google Classroom. And if you want to go to Google Classroom now, you can take a quiz that I've set up. we're going to kind of go backwards. Some of the things he didn't show was what it looks like when you have the answers and how you import. That's a little bit different. And I have another video that's in here. You don't have to. I mean, it's fine.
I don't.
If you
Would you like to sit next to me and do in this front? I have both my iPad and my computer, but I like being logged in on both.
It is just a two question quiz. I think it says which phone was invented first and who is Elon Musk? What company is he with? So it's a very challenging quiz. But I have already actually I took this as a student. There's a student account, and I can share with you if you want the credentials. Eric Sappings and I and several others use this as a test account. We invite this students at Casady into classes for this purpose. Sometimes because, especially when I show kids stuff, if I'm more and more having them show, like who would be willing to share their screen. But it's really nice to be able to see the student view because it's a little bit different. And especially when I'm teaching, it's better for them to see what they're going to see, not to see my teacher version. Okay, so this is called Tech Quiz, and I'm logged in as a student, and I have already taken this quiz, and so it is automatically submitted it. When I click on it, I can click View Score, and I got the trio right. It was the older phone than Android and iPhone, and I said Elon Musk was Amazon, so the correct answer was founder of SpaceX. Because I said allow for the he's actually got like 3. He's Mr. I own a lot of companies, and when I tweet the market, it was crazy. Isn't it amazing? He bought all this Bitcoin, like, and said Tesla will now accept Bitcoin, and voiced, I guess I wish I had got some Bitcoin at the beginning of the time. So since I had said release grades, I'm able to see those immediately. I honestly have not used the self-grading quiz. I've pretty much done forms, just like Simon was saying, as surveys, just to send to my kids. I've used them as rubrics. We've done evaluations of each other's work. But anyway, the self-grading quiz is definitely a feature that is appealing. And if you would want to be designing some assessments to self-grade, I mean, it's there. It's not something we have to pay for. Okay, good.
I'm not a couple of quizzes as well.
Okay, good. All right, so Simon, were you able to take it?
So wait, how do I find it?
So if you go to your Google Classroom, and you should have an invitation from me to join Wes's test class.
Okay, let me refresh.
Okay, yeah. So you're just going to join the class. Now, I didn't give it a due date, so it actually doesn't show up here on this first page, but you'll need to just open it up, and then it's the most recent thing posted there, just called Tech Quiz. Did you
yeah, I just joined.
Okay, nope, that's fine. All right, so if you want to submit it. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to my teacher view just to show you all what this looks like as a teacher, and then how I will release the grades, how I can import them and bring them in. I do have a video, which I'm not going to play, but it's in the slideshow that shows these steps. Again, it's another 3-minute one. So this is familiar. I see that 2 people have turned it in, my little student account, Sarah, and we're waiting on Simon to turn it in. So I can go ahead and click here. Oh, you got it? Okay, look at that. Simon's got it turned in. So now I can click here if I want to on Sarah, and I don't see anything. Okay, there's no grade, there's nothing. What's up with this? When I click, though, on my instructions, let's see. There it is. Okay, when I'm not clicked on an individual student, so let me back up. Yeah, when I'm looking at the assignment without clicking on an individual student. So here's the assignment. I'm not clicking on somebody's name. In the upper right corner here, there's this lovely import grades. Okay, and so that's where I can bring things in. If I click on the quiz, just like well, I'm looking at it as the student. When I click the pencil, this is the editing version of the quiz. Quizzes have two versions. They have the one you send out that students get to read or whoever you're sending it to, and then you have your editing version. If you're viewing the one that you sent out and you're logged in, you'll have a pencil in the corner. No one else will because it's your quiz. But this toggles you between the two views. This is like the public take the quiz, and then the pencil gets you to the editing version.
That is like, let's say you share administrative roles with other people in your Google Classroom.
Right.
Let's say global studies.
Yeah.
Is all in one Google Classroom.
Yeah.
All of those teachers would also have the pencil.
Yes.
So you.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so there are two tabs on the quiz interface. The first one is questions, where you begin, and that's where you write your questions. The second one is responses. And as students have submitted things, and this is true whether you do it as a quiz or not, this is how forms works. When you click on responses, this is something I really like, and they have added this and made this better in the last few years. Now they call this insights. So I can right here see, look, I have an average of 3.33 out of 10, and my median is 5, and my range is 0 to 5. So I brought down the mean. I can see who's responded. I can see a summary of the results. This is the summary view, okay? I can also click here to see the individual view, all right? This will be chronological. So I answered my own quiz first with the student account. Then we can see Sarah's answers. Then we can see Simon's answers. And then I can also flip back to see the question, see what the correct answer was. So that's nice. And what's the same for every form is that you'll have the question side and the response side. What's different with the quiz is you'll have these insights and the mean, median, range, and a little bit more of a breakdown. So what I want to do now is I'd like to give you your grades. And again, the second video that I included in here talks about this. This is the magic button, okay? Import grades. And I'm going to also, after I show this, I'm just going to go ahead and build another one. I'll build another one from scratch to show you the process. But when I click import grades, it says, are you sure you want to import grades? You will overwrite anything you had. So if I had manually gone in and put in a grade, it would erase it. So, keep that in mind. But now when I click import, check out what's going to happen over here on the side. Look at that. I have everyone's scores in here. Now, those aren't visible to you yet as a grade because I haven't returned it. One of the things I wish that they would do, by the way, is let us say it's still missing. Do you have upper division kids that will turn things in when they haven't attached something? We have children that do that. And it's like, yes, you turned it in, but there's nothing that you attached or sent in. Not a quiz or a form, but like you ask them for.
We'll do the same thing for kids who have done nothing. Do you want to return a grade for someone who has turned nothing in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I wish we could toggle that better, because what I've stopped doing is I used to return even when it was a 0. And anyway, but a lot of them are they see them where it's missing. Let me make it go away. And they can make the red go away by saying turn in, even when there's nothing turned in. Okay, so I am now checking the box for these, and I'm clicking return. And I'm going to return, and I could send a comment to everybody if I wanted to. I could do private comments, but now those are all returned. So I'm going to go back to my student view and refresh this. And I can see, I got 5 out of 10. So the process with quiz in Google Classroom, it's the same as other assignments, that you can put grades in, but until you, quote, return the assignment, it's not actually sent to the students. Okay?
Wes, out of curiosity, when you go to your view as the teacher,
okay,
right? So how you can go to over by the grade. So a few things. One, after input the grades, you could theoretically alter that grade if you wanted to. Absolutely.
Right? Just keep in mind that if you did the import again, though, it would overwrite a change that you had made.
Well, I'm thinking afterwards.
But afterwards, yep.
Yep,
and you can alter it.
Where it says view the submission, Oh, it won't let me get to it that way. That's why
I would, yeah, you'll click on the student, and then I can click your version, and I see your specific version. And this is the same thing, by the way, the student is seeing. They're seeing that same version that shows correct answers. And you can go into, and I didn't on this example, but we could have an open-ended answer, or, essay or whatever. And then we could grade that one. So we could have it do the grades for all the multiple choice, and then I can enter the grade on the open answer or open-ended answer, essay, whatever, and then
Do they
return
still
it.
have the checkbox one, so check all that apply? Like
Mhm.
you can do performance.
Mhm.
Is that
Yeah,
question type?
yeah. So actually, let me do this. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new quiz here inside my test class, and I'm going to do a couple different question types. So I'm going to say create. Again, if you would want to, you can make this outside of Google Classroom. And to Sarah's point, that would help you organize it, and you could put it in the folder you want so that you know exactly where to get it. Either way will work. Just make sure you make it a quiz with the settings so that you'll have these choices. Okay, so let's do a food quiz, shall we? All right. Let's do a 15-point, no, that's 1015. Let's do a 15-point food quiz. So I'm going to do some different questions. It automatically puts it right here for me, and it says blank quiz. That name will update when I give it a name, but I just click that, and it's already started for me with multiple choice, and so I'll have to name it here. All Google documents basically will, if you just put a title inside and then you click up at the top, for a blank one, yeah, it'll just replace that. Yeah, I guess in this one I got to do both. All right, so let's ask a Brazilian food question. What country is the picanha steak famous? In which country? In which country is the picanha steak famous? All right, answer choices are Argentina, or Chile, or Brazil. All right. We'll do Ecuador? Okay. Actually, I'm gonna, yeah, I think it's just Brazil, but maybe there's more answers. Okay. Things that I have to do here to make this grade itself. You're always going to want to require the question. As he showed in that video, you can click these three options on a question-by-question basis, I guess, and say shuffle option order. Now, one trick is once we get a question corrected or we have a question created, we can duplicate the question. That's what this little button down here at the bottom by the trash can means, which is great. So we get this set like we want. We're going to be having 4 answer choices. I won't create the question from scratch next time. I'll just click duplicate, and then I'll just change my question and my answer. So clicking required, saying shuffle, those things will stay the same. I also need to click on answer key, and I will select Brazil as my answer and put 5 as my points. Okay.
What happens if you also click Ecuador? Does it change it, or does it?
So for this multiple choice, it will allow multiple answers, but the students can only answer one time. But yes, you can have more than one correct answer for a multiple choice if you want. This entire question is worth 5 points. That is correct. So a correct answer will give them 5 points. All right. There we go. So we've got this one. Now, to model that example, I'm just, instead of clicking the plus here, which adds a question, I'm going to click the duplicate. Ta-da! And so somebody give me another kind of food or drink. Peru, what's the national drink of Peru? Pisco Sour, which are pretty amazing. So I'll add Peru here. Again, maybe there are more countries in Latin America where that is, but I know Peru, Pisco Sour is a big deal. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to have to click on answer key here and indicate Peru, but I don't have to put in 5 again, and I've already got it shuffled. So, got this next question. Okay, let's talk about these choices over here on the right. The first one is to add a new question, which is what I'm going to do next. You can import questions. So have you done that before, Sarah, when you've made?
another quiz that I want to pull up,
Uh-huh.
and you can do that.
Right, because it's Google Quiz to Google, or Google Form to Google Form. This is to add a title and description. So if you're going to have a multi-part, that's nice to kind of break it up. And I do think it's nice to not just have like 20 questions. When I was at the university, university professors are horrible, or I think, about super long surveys. I mean, they can be just crazy. So I don't know what rule of thumb you'll have, but if it's going to be a long quiz, I would recommend having it in several different parts and sections. You can add a video, and you can also add a section. And this section is where you'll break it up. If you wanted to have it like in 3 different pages, let's say you were going to do 15 questions, you could have 5 questions in each section. So let me do that as an example. I'll click here, and so this is going to be next section. This, by the way, is also, and this isn't covered, I don't know, in the videos, but you can have a branching survey. So your first question can be, like I teach 5th and 6th grade. So I'm going to make one survey and send it to all my kids. What grade are you in? 5th or 6th? And then this is where you'll do that. After section 1, based on the answer, we can say go on to section 2 or section 3. It's called a branching survey. So I think you have to create the section. So well, let's. It's down.
So another section.
Uh-huh.
So like if the question was, what grade are you in?
Right.
Right. So 9 through 12. And
Yep.
if you want to ask 12th grade specific questions,
Yep.
it'll say after section 1, continue to.
Yes. Yeah. When we do the question, so let me say this is going to be 5th.
And juniors in the American design class, you might want to ask them the sophomore something different from the junior.
It gets complicated. Sometimes it's easier to just do a separate survey, and you can just copy the survey and do it. But yeah, this branches it. So let me do this as an example. So I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to say, what grade are you in? And oh, look at that. That's nice. Suggestions. Add all. Okay. Yeah, it's that machine learning.
Are you experienced?
Okay, here's how you branch it. So here in the bottom here, instead of saying shuffle, I'm going to require this, but I'm going to click on this and say go to a section based on the answer. Yeah. Okay. So now if they say 5th, they're going to go to section 2, 5th grade. If they say 6th, they're going to go to untitled section, which I'm going to title 6th grade. Yay!
I don't know if it was around when we did our student feedback survey last year, but if I had done that.
Yes, branching surveys. So it's good. I mean, this is also a case where like SurveyMonkey or whatever, there's different paid ones that people do, and you had to have that, to get this feature, and Google's integrated more of these things.
Google is just kneecapping the competition.
Well, and actually, one of the updates, the new version of Chrome is going to have built-in screencasting, which I think is great. You're not going to have to use Screencastify or set. And actually, some schools prohibit kids from registering for third-party things. So that's a really good deal for schools that have those kind of prohibitions. It'll just be built right in. Okay, let me show how you put a video in. Okay, so here's this video that we watched, which we're not going to watch again. And incidentally, well, I'll just click the share button and click copy here. I mean, there's multiple ways we can get that, but here's the video. So I can add a new question, like I just said, what grade are you in? Import questions, add a title, add an image. I'm going to say add a video. And so I could search, but I like usually to find it first and then click URL. So here's the video that I want, select. So now I can say learn about forms. And so you can have the content of what they're going to have a question about right there in the same tab. They don't have to be multitasking and going different places and whatever.
Now, if you just wanted to do a clip of it.
I don't think that will work. I
The
think
best that you could do is use YouTube and tell it to start at a particular spot.
yeah, if you were gonna, yeah, it would YouTube, they don't yet have a tool built in here. Let me check and make sure. Yeah.
One of our previous meetings, we talked about how in YouTube, you can tell it, like, when you ask for more options, you can tell it, like, this is how I tell it that I want it to start at a particular time.
Right, right. Yeah, no, this is just going to give them the link to the form. They'll have to choose to scrub ahead, and you could write that in a note. You could put in a.
But if I do that through YouTube and I put in start at whatever second, and then it adds it to the URL, and then I grab the URL.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Let's try that really quick.
I think it's a 3, or it's a share. And then start at,
Okay, so let's tell it to start at 1 minute.
yeah,
Okay.
and so then it adds it there, so
Yeah. So let's
Let's
see if it does. So let's change and put this in. And this is another way that's a good thing to talk about, the preview button. So up here in the corner, send is where we will get the link when we're just going to send this as a survey to kids or parents or whatever. The settings button is where we can change things like collect their email addresses, only let them submit it one time, limit this to just people in my domain. This is what I'm going to click on now. The eye of Sauron. I'm going to click on the preview button. So that's going to pop me out to a new tab, and now I'm previewing it, and we can see if that works.
Yep.
Google Forms.
No,
is
It didn't. It just tell you it. So anyway, it looked like it was waiting. Yeah. Okay. So but this is new. So you can add videos. You can also add images. Let's see if we can just grab something off of my desktop.
And then having fun with map questions and being able to draw a map or print out a map and then draw on it and photograph it.
Okay.
And upload it from my iPhone. So I've been able to do some nice customized maps for students.
Awesome.
Pretty cool.
That's great. And we could definitely do one on maps. You know, I love GeoMaps. Yeah. I don't know that that's one included in the level 1 test or whatever, but it's.
At the end of this lesson, usually what's included in the level 2 test.
I will have to look it up because I honestly haven't taken it yet. But I think I'm going to do that here in the next month or so. And on the Teacher Center, that's where you can actually get. We'll do that real quick. So on the Teacher Center.
Yeah.
They've got a link. Oh, that's the wrong one. They've got a link that says certifications right at the top. So certifications, and then educator level 1, educator level 2. Is it $20?
No, it takes you 2.5 hours.
Wow, $25. Valid for 3 years. Yeah.
I was $25 isn't, I don't know.
And actually, that is something too that we can probably get funded, like we could get reimbursed for. You want to be ready. You want to be ready. Okay, so back to the quiz. This is basically, I made this question be the branch. So what grade are you in? It's going to take them to 5th grade and to 6th grade. Let's talk about other kinds of questions. So I'm going to click on add question. I really like Likert, the linear scale, Likert scale questions for doing surveys. So rather than do you like yes or no, linear scale, okay, on a scale of 1 to whatever. I also like to put the description in one time and then change and then just have several questions. So I clicked the plus and I clicked the T that said add text. I'm going to move this by using the handle. It has 6 dots at the top, but when I click and drag that, I can reposition it. And so I guess I could put the description here for 5th grade is going to kind of be for that entire section. But this little piece, I'm going to say, please rate these from 1 to 5 based on your preference or whatever. So question number 1. Yeah, picanha. All right. And then you put a label in here. Hate, love. Required. In this case, there's not going to be an answer key because, yeah, this is not a, there's not a correct answer to this. But this gives more, I don't know, I think it gives more interesting results when you're going to ask people a range. It just depends. What do you want to do? What are your thoughts on like?
When you're doing quite a bit of studying on survey design.
Uh-huh.
And I requested this with Google, and apparently they ignored my request, is that what I really want is a sliding scale.
Okay.
I want one of like, so, in like Instagram, like they'll say like, oh, how would you rate that sliding scale?
Right.
There's a lot of there's a lot of evidence to indicate that gives a much better response.
How's that different from Likert?
Well, from that, the problem is, what if someone wants a 4.5? That's not an option.
Okay. So you can do.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it grades it. So it is, so line measurement is what it's called.
Interesting.
And so if you set 100% as, whatever the length it is, and
Right.
it does the percentage and it converts that into a value.
Okay.
So if they do 96%, then, their answer is a 9.6 if you do it on a.
Okay. We're being advanced here with our branching survey, so we need to attend to this. So it says after section 2, normally you just ignore that, it goes to the next section. But in this case, we're going to say submit form because we don't want them to go to 6th grade. They've answered 5th grade, they're just getting that, and now they're going to submit the form. Go ahead.
So I assume that there's a way for them to branch and then come back together. So if I create another.
Yes. Everybody can do section 5 or whatever. And yeah, and that's where you'll do that is you branch them by creating the question, and then over here on the 3 dots, you'll say go to section based on answer. And then they'll, yeah. So if I did section 4, instead of saying after 5th grade submit, they're going to both go to section 4 at the end. And they'll finish with the same set of questions. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about other questions, and then we're going to have to wrap up because we're getting at the top of the hour almost. Okay, types of questions. There's all kinds, and they've really added a lot. They will guess, and they'll try to guess. One of the things I want to show you is there is some validation that you can do. So short answer. Let's say you're sending it to parents and they're not, part of our Google community or whatever, and it won't automatically collect their address. That only works when they log in with Google. Not all our parents have Google. So let's say I say email address. When you do a short answer, you want to require that. There's an option here that says response validation, and you can do some interesting things with this, like you can say this is going to be text and it's going to be an email address. So they will have to put it in the format of an email address, name at something dot something. Otherwise, it'll give an error. You can also tell it has to be a link. So if you're going to ask students, give me a link to whatever. If you wanted to a Wikipedia article about an animal found in Africa or something, I don't know. Anyway, you can require that it be a link. You can also do some things with length. So for instance, this is really relevant. If you want to give them a maximum character count for an essay question. So this isn't short answer. It's going to be paragraph. Okay. I'm going to include response validation. Length, I'm going to say, maximum number of characters, 500 or whatever.
Does it then, like while they're typing, tell them how many they've got left kind of thing?
That's a great question. Let's leave this in here
Let's go back
and
to
we
that.
can, we'll send it real quick and say, your life story,
Right?
your life's, yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah, great point. Let's preview it. Okay. So we'll have to answer the first ones in order to go on. I'm not going to watch these, and we're going to say 6th grade because I think that's what we were just in. Okay, your life story. I was born in Arizona. No, it doesn't. So, yeah, that's right. Okay, so anyway, there's a lot of different things that can be fancy, but this is new. Like I say, new in the last few years. Oh no. Okay. Yeah, file upload. So if you wanted them to attach a picture or something like that, you can do that inside the form. Check boxes and drop downs. If I have a ton of answers, I'll usually do a drop down because it just is less, filling up the the screen. I have not really done much with multiple choice grid or checkbox grid, but time and date's cool. So, you want to sign up for a particular time. It lets them on the preview disclose personal information, your birthday. So let's preview this. So again, I have to answer my first two questions and say 6th grade to see that next section. But now I can click and I have a calendar. And so anyway, it's just some other features for question types. All right, let's say we're done. So I need to, they're going to submit the form after 5th grade and after 6th grade. I don't have a last section. So I have now created my quiz. It automatically saves. This is important to know. So when you've clicked away from the title or whatever, it saves. You don't have to go up to file save. There is no save button to do. There are some fancy things up here. Form timer means you're only going to give them that much time to complete the quiz. Notifications. You can receive a notification every time that's submitted. On a personal note, I have a contact form on my own personal website. And I have not hardly given any presentations for a long, long time, but there's a contact form here. And there's also, if somebody would want to, have me come speak, I get an email and actually sends me a text message too, if somebody fills that out. So anyway, that's for class and for kids submitting assignments. You don't want that. But if there is an infrequently submitted document that somebody might have, you may want to be notified. I get plenty of notifications. It's not something I'm needing to do. This is where you can make it collect email addresses. If we put as we make this a quiz, it will automatically do this. Because it's going to be assigned to that student. This is where we can limit the response. This should already be a quiz because I created it inside Google Classroom. And I'm going to release the grade immediately. Presentation, what do you want it to say when they're done? Okay. Great job. You are finished. Yes.
You're not going to want to do that if you're going to branch and then come back together.
Correct. But show progress bar. Getting smarter every day, man. Yeah, quizzes, self-grading quizzes in Google Classroom. Okay, but the confirmation message, and it can include a link. So we do this sometimes for parents registering for Parent University. Thank you for registering. Please click here and return to the school website or whatever. All right, so we're now done. We've made our lovely food quiz. We are ready to assign it. I actually don't know that I did I do more? I think I only did points worth 10. Okay, so I'll change that. This doesn't automatically match, so you have to make your points match how many you put in. It doesn't.
Import or override. Oh, you know what? It's probably just going to pull the number of correct points.
Yeah, it just pulls the points. That's the number the kids will see when they see how many points are available. Now, this is important. You want to check this box. This box will let you import the grades. If you're wanting to do the self-grading quiz thing, you have to check that. And I think you can change it if you don't have it on there, but this gives you the import button. Okay, so now I've just assigned the food quiz and I will take it as a student and we're almost done here, if Simon and Sarah want to take it. So here it is, food quiz. I'm looking at this as a student. So I go ahead and click it. This is what the student sees. Where's picanha? It's Brazil. Where's pisco sour? It is Peru. I'm not going to play the video or look at the picture. I'm going to say, let me see if I'm going to say I'm in 5th grade and rate these. So, Jonas, how do you rate picanha? 1 to 5. Really? Okay, we'll do a 3 then. We're going to put it in the middle. How about pisco sour? 4? Okay. And they can choose to send themselves a copy of the response. It shows their progress here because we said to select that and submit. So as a student, I can view my score, the questions which were self-grading, it goes ahead and shows, and then it just shows me my other answers that didn't have grades. Oh, that's interesting, huh? It shows on the branching, it shows me the questions I didn't have answered. So maybe you want to not show them their answers if you have a branching survey. That's right. Based on your reply to pisco sour. Okay. So now I'm viewing this as a teacher. I can see that there's one turned in. If I view the assignment, this is again where I have the option to import grades. I could look at individual students, so I can come over here to.
Remember, we said you couldn't see that until you imported the grade.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yes. Okay. Import grades. It's going to import whatever I have. And okay, so there's student 10 out of 10. I think I have to see it on here. So I have to click the pencil and view. This is where it's a little bit jump around. You have to click to see responses here. So here's summary, here's individual. Okay. And so now I can return.
Or did you have to return it first and then you could see it?
I was thinking that there was a way to see the actual. Okay, yeah, that's it. So once you return it, then you can click on it and there's the result. There's the submission for that student. All right, the very last thing I want to show you, and I'm going to show you a different example of a form that I did myself. My kids did video feedback forms for these digital storytelling projects that they did. And so I used a little nice, cover thing. And so this was the rubric. So they selected who are you evaluating? And I just copied and pasted their email addresses. It was faster. So they would select their classmate that they were evaluating. They put in their title. And then here was the rubric, image selection. Okay, were they appropriate? Did they match the narration 1 to 5? So this was the rubric that they had, but they were evaluating each other. So this form has 127 responses. And then under the summary, there's some nice, that's not as nice, but, how are the responses overall in terms of the scale? Okay, and then they had comments. Last thing I'm going to say, you all know what this green button does. That's right, because Google does a good job with color coding.
Is it in Google Sheets or is it there?
Not until you click it. Okay. It used to be that forms would only put into a sheet, and now forms lives in its own place. Like he showed, you can go to forms.google.com. It's kind of like coming to its own. There is not a spreadsheet version of this until you click that button. And a lot of teachers and people you don't need to, because you have the results both summarized and individual here. But if you're a spreadsheet person, this will excite you, because when you click this, you can either select an existing spreadsheet or create a new one. It takes all of the data from your form, and there it is. And so now I can, set up a filter. I can, sort these. I can do whatever I want to with spreadsheet.
Export it into Excel.
Sure. Yeah. Go to download and choose Excel. Yeah. And you can move right into Excel or export the CSV or whatever you want to do. Yeah. No. But I mean, and Google supports some, formats of Office and stuff like that a little bit better. Okay. So that's probably enough. It is, oh gosh, it's 5 after. Simon, are you still with us? We lost him. Okay. That's all right. Any questions that you all can think to ask? Okay.
Let me add to that, Jonas, is so Wes didn't do some of the grids with the checkboxes and the multiple choice, but you can. So for example, where that can be really useful is you could do something with the multiple choice. Like, let's say you had a bunch of historical events and you wanted the kids to list them in order. So the top, you could say, like, this was the first thing, this is the second thing, like, this is or oldest, most recent. And then the kids could order them, right? That's a potential way. Like, you could have the
so that would be the multiple choice grid.
And then and then the rows would be the actual events. So
and so because I haven't used this before, so if we said Gettysburg Battle, 1863,
American Revolution, Battle of Bunker Hill, Boston Tea Party, well, not matching.
It's dragging and dropping.
It's these are your row headings. So this is what you're putting here, right? Those events. And then these are your dates. And so they would like.
Oh, okay.
This date, that one happened this date, right?
Okay.
And so I was saying, like, if you wanted to have them sequence, like this was the first, second, third, fourth, they could be, well, this one was the third thing, this one was the first thing, right?
It's a nightmare for the dyslexic student.
Well, I'm kind of trying to think of like, you could do stuff like that. The check boxes will allow kids to do multiple things. So if you said like different characteristics, like, I'm trying to think, like,
Oh, checkbox grid.
yeah, so that means you can select more than one. So, like countries in which they want, like different countries. So event and like countries
Which country did this happen in?
involved, right? Yeah, so we had
Oh.
countries involved in World War I, World War II, right? So then they could say, oh, well, you know, we've got Russia, we've got Japan, we've got England, you know,
Or what
they could check all the ones that apply.
a list of names and geography kind of set of options.
Yeah, you could do that. You could say, you could list, so I'm just trying to think of like things like that. Treaties, right? Which countries were involved in these treaties? And so they can click, you can have more than one now.
And another reason for thinking about creating your form in a different place would be your department could do that. I mean, you could have a folder of our quizzes. And anyway, you could have shared curriculum, and maybe someday we'll have a textbook that'll come with, quizzes that, I mean, if we had Canvas or those kind of things, that's where they'll have that kind of stuff plugged in, you'll have that.
They're sharing, because I don't really feel proprietary necessarily. I have almost no interest in going and looking at someone else's quiz.
Yeah.
It's maybe just some sort of imitation.
No, but like I said, with global studies, so if you all have your own separate Google Classrooms, which makes total sense, right? Because you're not sharing grade books. But what you have is, I'm making the quiz for section 1, you're gonna make the quiz for section 2.
Oh, teaching, that's a different story.
So.
And by the way, I just learned this, Eric Sappington taught me under classwork. I've never seen this before. The class drive folder. And so any document that has been shared with students as a student work is put in there.
In fact, if you go back to, all right, go back a screen, can you go just, oh, no, same screen. It's great, same tab. Can you just hit the back button?
There and go back.
Other one, but Google Classroom.
Okay.
Yeah, hit the back button.
Okay.
And what I was gonna mention, oh shoot, you just had it. You had stuff up here. There was a folder right here. That is also a quick link to your Google Drive.
Oh,
your Classroom
really?
Drive. Yeah.
Okay, right here. No, that's a neat link. That's code. Huh. Should I go to another one? This is
Okay. That might do it too.
okay. The tech quiz.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Well, that's the result. Can you go to the one where you were editing it? So if you click on the folder right there, there's your Google, and you can tell it to move it around. It gives you quick access to.
Okay.
One thing, I'll say this from experience, if you accidentally click the wrong type, like you tell it you want it to make a spreadsheet or a blank doc, whatever,
Right.
it makes it. And even if you say X out, there's that blank doc.
You have to
hanging out in
delete.
your folder.
You
have to delete it.
Right.
It's not an issue, but.
Yeah.
Those are different ways that you can
Okay.
do that. You can also do, so for example, that linear scale that you did, if you want them to write a whole bunch of things at once, you can do that as either the multiple choice grid. So what you're saying, your columns are going to be, 1 through 5, or 1 is hate and 5 is love, and you want them to say, how do I feel about all of these things?
Okay.
You could do that as a multiple choice. You've got it as a checkbox right now, but.
Because I did, checkbox grid and then multiple choice grid. So checkbox grid is when they could do more than one.
They can flag more than one.
Okay,
Yeah.
multiple choices again. There's one answer.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, we covered some other advanced stuff that's not going to be on the test. Yeah. So it's not going to go as in depth as we did. But powerful tools. They've just gotten better, and definitely some good capabilities to know about. Students can also write quizzes. they have the ability to create all these too. So that's another thing to think about. And maybe the last thought is, if we're doing the most work, we're doing the most learning. So the more that we can have the kids doing the work, the more learning they're doing. And they could create quizzes for each other, which they would then share as links. And that could be actually an assignment. And you would probably want to give some constraints to that as far as how many questions and types and things like that.
Helping them to understand maybe how it could have been better, or because obviously.
But you could also give them different parts, different chapters or things, or I don't know. I mean, if you're doing a review, we're going to break this out and have the review questions that you guys are going to come up with, but we'll break out responsibility for who does what.
But this is where I think Jamboard is actually better.
Oh, yeah, that was.
I had the kids do like a gallery walk, and so they use different color. They use like a blue
Hey,
post-it for like
just a second.
thing that they liked, and then like a yellow post-it for a thing for improvement.
Yep.
And so they had to